Hello and welcome to Take Time. I am your host, Patrick Marlette, and let's talk about the rest of my watch collection. This is going to be a continuation of the initial SOTC. So if you haven't watched that one yet, part one yet, feel free to click on the card or just go into my playlist or my cache of videos and hit part one. You can watch it there. It's all of my vintage timepieces that are illustrated there, as well as two of my test watches, my sample watches for all of the 20 and 22 millimeter straps. You can see them there. The only one I really didn't show off is this flush stock. You don't need to see this. It's a disappointment. But anyways, if you made it to the show today, it's clear that you like SOTCs. I clearly like SOTCs more than I thought. Shooting them is fun. Wow. Talking about watches is fun. Go figure. It's kind of why I run this channel. By the way, I have an Instagram that I don't use often enough. I want to, that's my resolution for 2018. Let's put it that way. I'm shooting this before 2018. I'm still working in 2017. Anyways, yeah, I have an Instagram. If you have a state of the collection, feel free to hashtag TakeTimePat, and I will see all of your SOTCs there. Because, I like seeing pictures of people's collections. If you want to leave a little blurb as to why you picked those pieces, that would be really cool too. That would be a fun way to share our content with each other. Not just myself, but all you guys as viewers. So feel free to hashtag TakeTimePat on the Instagrams, and I can see your collection there. But if you want to see the rest of my collection, hang tight. Whew, this is, I don't know where I want to start with my modern collection. The modern pieces are more often rotated than my vintage pieces. The watch I'm holding in my hand was something that I honestly thought I was going to pick up, review, and let go, but I have held on to so dearly. It's made its way into my collection, and that is the SCED-057. So what the hell is that, Patrick? Some of you might be asking. It is actually a watch that is a reissue of an original design from the 80s, I believe, what was part of the Speedmaster series. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but another first for Seiko was the 7A28, which was an analog quartz chronograph. Now, Seiko produced a whole range of models that utilized the 7A28, and it was so popular that they actually made a day-date variant that was featured in a lot of weird hybrid dress chronographs. It was just that popular a movement. But amongst some of the best of those designs were ones that were co-designed with an industrial designer named Giorgetto Giugiaro. Now, you've likely heard of him before. He's most popularized for his designs in the automotive world, but he's also done a lot of designs with Seiko, and the 7A28 actually marked the first of his designs with the group, and he made a whole series of watch cases for the company under the Speedmaster lineup. This watch right here happens to be just one of them. Now, this is actually modeled after the SBBJ 005 or 007. I'm going to let you guys look those up. They were both black variants of this watch. One had orange accents and one had red accents. They do reproduce those now. I think they're still accessible. They're still in the market. But these are all limited production reissues. There's more of these on the market, I know that for sure, but the ones that look like the originals were super popular, and of course those are all gone. But what drew me to this watch, and honestly what drew me to the original watch, the same reason, was that I thought the design was so radical and so beautiful that I just had to own it. Or at least, again, get it in for a review, because this watch has gotten little to no attention. So this is a timepiece that I've been requested to review on the show, and yes, I've heard your pleas. It is an intention of mine. As a matter of fact, we're definitely going to have a review on the channel here within the month, so don't worry. January marks the month of Giugiaro. So expect an honest and thorough review of this timepiece, but as I said, I purchased it with just the sole intent of having it in for, said review, and I have wound up, wearing it to the gym and wearing it as I bike ride and just wearing it casually so often. It's just such an easy watch to pick up and go with that it's sort of stayed. I love casual modern quartz timepieces, And this is amongst one of the better ones that's on the market right now. And what's great is if you're interested in getting one of these, the used market on these is actually very favorable. Again, this is not the most popular case design from Giugiaro. For some reason, this is not the one people go for. I think it's absolutely awesome. I will get into why with the review, obviously, but it's an absolutely stunning timepiece. Again, this is one of those things I just bought for the review, but I wound up staying. I wound up staying with it. Keeping it would have been a better choice of word there. Whatever, you guys get what I'm saying. It was this relationship. I stayed with it. That's what I was sort of going for. Whatever. Anyway, so you guys know, I said it in the first video, I'll say it again here. I keep all of my vintage watches in a roll bag, and I keep all of my modern watches in a watch display box. It was a gift from the girlfriend. Absolutely love it. I don't know what brand this is, so I couldn't recommend it, and you're not even going to see it. You're not going to see the display case. I just want you guys to know how I maintain my watches. I know some of you ask. I think the display cases with little cushions like this are great, especially if they're undersized. You don't want them oversized, because if your watch is wrapped around too tightly, it could break these pillows. These smaller case pillows are perfect though, and roll bags are great. Just be wary of slipping a metal bracelet onto a metal watch. If you don't care about your watches getting dinged or banged up, then screw it, just get roll bags. But I think the display case is a really good option. The next watch I want to talk about was actually the first watch I had featured on this channel, and that is my SRP 775. Whoo, boy, does this not feel unique anymore. If it did not feel unique already, it's feeling, man, it feels so old now for some reason, and that's because they just keep on pumping out these turtle variations. I'm sure you guys know if you're Seikoholics like myself. There's an all gold, I say gold, there's a gold looking version. There is a new silver dial version. Oh man, might have to say goodbye to this. I would love that silver dial version. And then it's a blue dot. It's a blue sunburst with the blue thing from 60 to 15. I don't know what you call that. It's blue and black. It's a blue and black bezel insert. There's no word for that. There's Pepsi. There's Coke. Batman? Yeah, it's kind of like a Batman. It's kind of like a Batman bezel. Whatever. There's so many of these turtles now that, you know what the hell? They're why I bought it. Let's just get to why I bought it. I honestly think it's the best looking diver in their range, and clearly a lot of other people do, or Seiko would not be producing this many of them. So this is actually the third generation diver from the group, or at least this reissue is modeled after that watch. And the original turtle, it got its name for this particular, design aesthetic, but the original turtle was renowned for its very, very beautiful, very popular cushion case design, and this one echoes that design perfectly. Again, the original one was just a little bit smaller, a little bit more stout in design. Its lugs weren't as pronounced. Modern Seikos, I think as a whole, have more pronounced lugs than the original, early versions of their watches. That's just a design cue I've noticed changed, but otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you're interested in turtles, then, maybe get the 6306, 6309. I think that's the original reference number. That's the movement number. But the original ones either had one of those two movements. If you look up 6306 turtle, you'll find what I'm talking about. But why buy vintage when you can buy one of these perfectly beautiful modern Seiko turtles? That's what I ask myself. And the thing is with tool watches, and why I bought this over a vintage timepiece, what I'm really driving at here is I don't like buying vintage tool watches. I don't like buying watches I can't use in the purpose the watch was designed for. Does that make sense? It's a diving watch. I should be able to dive with it, or at least take a leisurely swim, a leisurely summer swim, or midnight dive in the pond. Whatever you want to do with your dive watch, you should be able to submerge it in water. In vintage watches, you always run the risk. People are always like, no, you shouldn't do that. Well, no, I should do that because that's what this watch was made for. No, that's me. Anyways, that's why I bought the modern one. Seiko's providing you another opportunity, this generation, an opportunity to take one of their sexiest dive watches into the water. That's awesome. I just said sexy. I've never referred to a watch as sexy. I'm not even sure I mean that about this watch, but I really do dig the aesthetic. I love the sword and shield at 12 o'clock. The look is very dried up and old, though, I'm not gonna lie. The circular hour markers, a lot of dive watches look the same to people outside of the watch world, and they're starting to look the same to me, but this is one of my favorite designs from this group, and that's why I bought it. By the way, shout out to Uncle Seiko. What Larry's doing with his brand is fantastic. This Tropic rubber strap is actually a product of Uncle Seiko. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus in decent enough time so you can see the branding on the back. But yeah, he's been producing Tropic rubber straps. What's interesting is a lot of early divers just came with the generic Tropic rubber strap. I'm sure you've seen these before. There's this sort of basket woven look to the top of the strap, and it has the multitude of perforations so that it breathes on your wrist. These are very, very popular with early divers, but Seiko never had these featured, not to my knowledge, at least not on the turtle variant. There were the chocolate bar straps, the waffle straps, yada yada yada, but this Tropic strap looks really good on this watch. Probably one of my favorite looks with this turtle. So awesome job with that, Larry. We're going to do a review of the Tropic rubber strap in the future. I just thought I'd highlight that here in case you guys were wondering what strap that is. Oh boy. The next watch I want to talk about, I'm going to leave on the cushion because I made a point to mention the cushion earlier, and I'll show you why I like these case cushions so much. Is my Omega Dynamic. Talk about sexy. No, this timepiece, one of the coolest chronographs on the market. One of the coolest, I'm going to say budget, $1,000 is a lot of money, but one of the coolest sub-$1,000 chronographs you could ever buy with the money. In our part 1 video, I discussed how the King Seiko changed my opinion of all dress watches, just the wearability and the use of a dress watch, how it could be worn casually and still be palatable. Because for the longest time, I'd only worn dive watches for the pure utilitarian nature, the fact it could stand up to all of my summer sweat. This watch, however, completely changed my opinion of chronographs. It was another style of watch that I just didn't care much for. Like, I really do. My preference is still towards time-only watches. When it comes to a timepiece, I really only care to tell the time, and not in a multitude of ways, but this complication layout, the overall design of this chronograph is just so stunning and machine-like. It feels like something you'd find under the hood of just an amazing car. I love these piston-like pushers. I love the tight link bracelet, sort of, I guess, president-style bracelet, except it has this step here. Those are all separate links, by the way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links built up on the bars that create the bracelet as a whole. These beautiful solid end links. It's just a stunning chronograph. And before this, I had, following that dive watch theme I talked about, I had an Omega Seamaster Professional, not the original Bond, not the quartz one that is, but the automatic one that utilized a caliber 1120, something like that. It was an ETA 2892 that they bejeweled. But yeah, I owned one of those, and I was kind of underwhelmed with it. I'm sorry, Seamaster Professional fans, but I was a little underwhelmed with the Seamaster Professional. I had just owned so many dive watches up to that point, I didn't understand why it cost so much. And I sold it. This watch, however, following my philosophy that, again, I discussed in part 1, I feel like I should always own an Omega. I've got personal reasons for that. You don't have to own an Omega, but you're missing out. This is by far the coolest Omega I've ever owned, and just the coolest chronograph I think I will ever own. And it's one of the reasons I picked it up. It's funny because it wasn't initially on my radar as a chronograph. I was going to get a Speedy, but I was just so tired of all of the Speedmasters I see, and I feel a lot of us as collectors want to own something that no one else has, or at least a large majority of us. I know some of us just don't care. But I am one of those collectors that likes having something unique to my collection. And I'll tell you what, I'll go out and I'll see at least 3 Speedmasters at some sort of get-together. I'll never see a Dynamic. And that's a shame. That is a huge shame. Guys, buy this watch. Buy this watch before you buy the Speedmaster and see if you like it. It's a completely different style and aesthetic. But I'll tell you what, you're not going to see as many of these on the street. So if you wanted that feeling of uniqueness, this really provides that in spades. Okay, case cushion. This is what I was talking about. This Omega Dynamic, this case cushion. It's a little bit on the smaller side, so try to find a case where, if you get the measurements, I don't know the approximate measurements, but go for the smaller case cushion, because I have a 7¼ inch wrist. All my straps fit around these quite neatly. This is sized for my wrist right now. It doesn't over stress the pillow, and the pillow doesn't over stress the bracelet. You've seen bracelets stretched out over time. A lot of that reasoning is because of just general use and wear, but also how you maintain your watches. A looser case cushion is always the way to go. If you're paranoid like me and you want your bracelet on your Omega Dynamic to last a lifetime, go for this style of case cushion. There you go. That's why I have this case cushion. Secret's out. And the case cushion, purely coincidence. My girlfriend had no idea what she was going for, but she picked the perfect one. So much like my jacket from that Phenomenato interview. A lot of you have pointed that out. That was actually a gift from the girlfriend as well. She knows my taste perfectly. The next watch I want to highlight is something that I was actually going to buy myself for a comparison video, and you'll probably be able to guess the comparison video as soon as I show it to you. But there's just something that I was gifted from my dad over the holidays, and it's actually on a leather strap that I was gifted during the holidays, and that is the SARB 065. And shout out to Giorgetto for making, I'm going to say it again, sexy leather straps. These things smell fantastic, they look fantastic, and they wear extremely well. Thank you guys if you're watching this video right now, Tim. I really appreciate you sending me the care package. You guys deserve so much love. It's funny, like not a lot of people know you market straps. And I'm telling everyone, I'm telling you guys right now, if you haven't heard of Giorgetto, it was subscribers suggested that I reach out to them, and I've had such a swell time developing that relationship and testing out their products. Expect to hear more of them from here on out. I like talking about things I enjoy on the channel or sharing things that I think are good for you. I try to refrain from sharing shitty product. So this is one of the better companies for a leather strap. That's why I haven't really mentioned leather straps before. This is the company to go for. Not a sponsor, but I wish they were, honestly. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. This watch originally came on a different strap. It came on a very selective glossy black strap. It's the kind of strap that would only look good if you were wearing a tuxedo, a rental tuxedo. It was not a very attractive strap. This is not a review of the watch. I'm just saying I had to switch it off of that strap. This is my SARB 065, and I know I stated, at least in the part 1 video, that I would explain why I made all of these buying decisions, but this was a gift. But I was indeed going to buy this. I mean, it is... And here's why I would have bought it if I wasn't gifted it, which was just miraculous, by the way. I did not tell my old man I was interested in getting the Cocktail Time, the original 2010 Cocktail Time. It just happened to be what was appealing to him, which is really, really funny. He's got extremely good taste. But this particular watch is a modern classic. I mean, if you guys don't know, if you haven't watched my review on the Espresso Martini that I'm going to be doing a comparison with, this watch sparked a whole series of Presage lineup timepieces called the Cocktail line. And they're actually all modeled after different cocktail beverages, but this one was sort of the precursor to that, with that beautiful white and blue sunray finish. And by the way, in certain lights, it picks up different hues of colors. I've seen like bright yellows and bright pinks. It's an absolutely stunning dial that the camera is never going to do it any justice on. In any video I've ever seen, in any illustration, this watch has been the most impressive thing to just have in person. And what wows me even more so is that you can still pick it up under $500. I don't know how long the production of this particular model, the SARB 065, has been going on. But if you were interested in getting a Cocktail Time, buy the original. This is the cool version. There were actually two other versions of this watch, the sweet and the dry. Buy the cool version. Buy the 6.5. This is the one to own. If you're interested as a collector, that is why I would buy this. Not only is it a fun, everyday wearing watch that just pairs well, honestly, with any strap option I put it on. I know some of you, this is very selective, but some of you might not like this look. I think it has an understated elegance. Like I wear it with a brown leather jacket, and I'll wear it with this brown leather strap to match, and it just feels like adventure. It almost looks like an old school compass in certain ways with those hour markings. I think all of the aesthetic cues are on point. I think it's an instant classic. There's just so many good things here. That is why it is in my collection. Again, another beautiful coincidence. I think you call that serendipity. I'm just so happy to have this in my collection. And thank you, Dad, if you're watching this. This was a really good buy. And last but not least, the watch that's on my wrist to close off the state of the collection, to start 2018 right. What you guys all wanted to see, and what I frequently get request to have me review. My brain is conjuring up videos that would be appropriate. This is not a watch that's currently on the market, but what I'm talking about is my Grand Seiko. Now, I know that you guys have wanted a review of this watch. It just doesn't seem like it would be of benefit for you guys. I think if you wanted to learn more about the history, that's already out there. You can definitely read some really solid articles, but I will try to provide a video featuring this watch that's more appropriate for it. Again, the rest of my collection, all of my watches, I buy in the mindset of paying under $1,000. This is well over that mark. And another one of my philosophies is that you should treat yourself. Life is way too short. And if you have a hobby or anything you're passionate about, you should really treat yourself, because everyone deserves a win. Everyone deserves something nice. This is that one thing nice I really wanted to gift myself when I purchased this. And this was honestly my favorite watch. Of all the watches that Seiko has ever designed, in my earnest opinion, this is the most beautiful timepiece they've ever created. And this is the Seiko SBGR 017 Grand Seiko. It utilizes an NS55 movement. This is a current automatic movement. They still use these in production models. And it's fitted into a case that's both nautical in appearance, but also extremely elegant. I don't know how it manages to look so rugged, timeless, and beautiful all at once. But yet it does. It's just one of my favorite timepieces. And as a matter of fact, this is the watch that led me down the path of strictly collecting Seiko. It has many of Seiko's hallmark designs and features, these beautiful sloping lugs and that Zaratsu finish with the polishing and those, beautiful microfine brushstrokes on both the bracelet and the case itself. But it's everything a Seiko should be in one watch. The design language here is absolutely stellar, and it's echoed throughout the rest of their lineup. But, one of the things that I like about this piece, not only the 20 bar water resistance, not only the 38.5, width, discluding the crown guard, the fit on the wrist and the wearability, but, the thing that really sold me on this watch was this bracelet. And as you guys know, I am a bracelet guy. Moreover, being a Seiko-holic, I love a watch with a good bracelet. It doesn't matter what that watch is, what brand that belongs to. If the bracelet is well designed and comfortable, I am totally down to buy it, own it, and wear it. And this is amongst the best bracelets I have ever had an opportunity to wear, and let alone own. I wish that this design of bracelet with this link system was still utilized by the group, but it's simply not. And it really kills me with a lot of these modern Grand Seikos when they come up with designs that are this functional and beautiful that they would revert to making oyster bracelets instead for their watches. And it's a huge disappointment as a Seiko collector, because that they've done better. And this is honestly more wearable and more comfortable than any oyster bracelet I've ever had on a watch, and if ever tried on another watch. But it's also a wholly original design for the group, and something that makes their typical dress watch, or their typical adventurous watch stand out. And I use adventurous to describe this timepiece because I've worn this thing on every occasion. I've worn it to the beach. I've worn it while I was mountain climbing. There's not been an occasion where I haven't felt comfortable wearing this piece because it is so rugged and resilient and fun to wear. And the thing is, I found myself as my collection expands, not wearing it as often as I'd like because I have to try on different accessories and I have to review new watches and I have to look at new things constantly. But every time I go back to this watch, I immediately say to myself, damn, I could completely go without any other watch and be satisfied if this was the one watch I owned. And that's really an awesome thing, and I hope all of you find that within your own collections, a timepiece that you feel you can always fall back on, one that you are always going to enjoy wearing, and one that's always going to keep that honeymoon phase, or what's really behind that, the love and affection we have for this hobby alive. And for me, that piece is my Seiko SBGR 017. It is my favorite watch. It is, if I had to get rid of everything else to just stay alive in this crazy city, I would sell everything off except for this. Everything. And I would be so content. Yeah, I'm going to try to feature this watch in a way that's both entertaining and meaningful for you guys. I don't want to just do a review for it. That seems kind of senseless again because it's kind of hard to acquire. There were limited edition versions of this watch. There was the standard versions were both black and white and dial. You can get quartz variants and of course automatic versions of the same watch. I would recommend the automatic version. For obvious reasons, although the quartz variant is very, very commendable and a lot more affordable. So if you wanted this case and styling and bracelet, you can get that quartz watch for a little over $1,000. But that is another major stepping stone, I feel, for consumers, especially like myself. $1,000 is a lot of money. $1,000 is probably a lot for you guys. Maybe it isn't. But that's a lot to spend on any one item, particularly one that isn't used regularly. Unless it's the only watch you have, which is clearly not the case for me. So yeah, I'm going to compose a proper video for the Grand Seiko, and maybe you guys will find that informative and fun. We'll see. At any rate, that is my entire collection. This ran way too long, in my opinion. I will see what it looks like when I cut it, but man, that was a lot of talking about my stuff. And I usually don't talk about my watches. So that was really fun. I might do this yearly because this is just a little too much to chew in one sitting. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative or enlightening or entertaining in the least, as always. And of course, if you liked it, the best way to show that you liked it is to hit the button that looks like this. It is called the like button. And if you have friends, forums, or groups that enjoy watch content, maybe share this two-parter with them if they want to see how another Seiko-holic goes about collecting. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, it's okay. I don't blame you. Sometimes you gotta warm up to these things, just like a good watch. But if you've been watching for a while now and find that you enjoy the content, maybe subscribe so that, we can do bigger, better things into the future, because it'll show me that there's a general interest, and then it'll also give me the encouragement to keep on keeping on. So please do join the family if you haven't yet, and please leave comments in the comments section down below. I really love the conversations we start there. The conversations, I say, we start down there. There's a group of regular people I converse with on YouTube, outside of YouTube, and I thank you for finding me here. I really value those relationships, so feel free to comment in the comment section down below with any of your thoughts, and of course, hashtag TakeTimePat on the Instagram. If you want to share your SOTC with me, I'd love to see them that way. Again, I think I mentioned this in part 1, or maybe I mentioned it here, but one of my resolutions is to start using Instagram more. I don't really make resolutions. It's sort of a phony resolution, but I want to start using Instagram more, so this is going to give me a good opportunity to do so. So if you guys just want to share your SOTCs with everyone else, feel free to hashtag TakeTimePat. Again, my name is Patrick Marlette, and thank you for the time.